But let me just welcome you on this great day at the MTA. There were those who said that this program would never get off the ground. We started this journey 8 years ago, and I had senior people asking me, well, is the bill going to pass in Albany? This program would never work here. We're not the SCA. But guess what? Anytime in life you confront naysayers, what do? You just move them to the side and you keep moving. It's almost like Sherman marching through the South minus the war crimes, right? So you just keep marching and you keep doing. Let me, first of all, thank the MTA board and Joe Loda, MTA President Pat Foy, and Managing Director Ronnie Hakem for their steadfast support that's aligned with Governor Andrew Cuomo, who I thought historically that the greatest governor in this state, in the history of the state, has always been Nelson Rockefeller. With the creation of the World Trade Center, the creation of Barry Park City, SUNY, the rebranding, rebuilding of the state capitol and all those nice, magnificent buildings. But this governor, we're living through a great time. We're witnessing the transformation of New York City as we currently see it. $33 billion capital budget here at the MTA, the highest in the history of this organization. $34 billion capital budget at the Port Authority. So if you're a business, if you only dealt with two agencies, $60 billion, you should become wealthy. The new airport project that's going on right now, the JFK Airport, the new $8 billion Port Authority bus depot, the new, that bridge that's being built upstate, what is it called again? The Mario Cuomo Bridge, the Tappan Zee Bridge. The new expansion of Javits, the new Empire Penn Station that's going to be finished. So there's $100 billion on the street right now, and if I was in business, it is so much opportunities out here. Let me also thank my partners in crime, Bill Howe, who, when this bill first got, it failed the first year because the insurance industry put a hold on it because they thought that we were going to take businesses from their surety bond agents because we said that we were going to waive bonding so you can have the opportunity to work. Because in this state, it's against the finance law for you to work on any construction project in which you don't have surety bonding. So we wanted to create a program that gave you the opportunity to come in and learn, earn, and grow. And so Bill Howe and I and TDX assigned their lobbyists, and we knocked on every door in the state capitol. And guess what happened? The next year, the bill passed. And Governor Patterson, we knew his counsel, Peter Kerwin, and he took our bill, and it was the second bill that was signed in that session during that year. So I want to thank Bill Howe for his hard work and steadfast support. I also want to recognize one of the biggest advocates in this state, and that's Sandra Wilkin. Sandra and I share, we are both members of the Mayor's Advisory Committee, and we're going to work on our mission to make sure that the city of New York has a small business mentoring program when that bill goes back to Albany next year, and we have some great strategies to make that happen. So thank you, Sandra. I also want to thank the Harlem Business Alliance, and I saw Regina Smith here. Where's she? Regina Smith. And what they have done in an oasis in Harlem at the Harlem Business Alliance is short of remarkable. They have a contract with us where they are giving back office support for firms like you. So every week you see email blasts going out that they're doing great things with certified minority-owned businesses, certification assistance, and access to capital, and just making sure that firms like you get their fair share. I also want to thank my staff. I want to thank George. I want to thank Nadir. I want to thank Mike Riegel, who has been an excellent addition to this program. They live, eat, sleep, dream minority business development. And that's what you need. You need people internally who's going to have a seat at the table that's going to give a voice to the voiceless. And so they're here doing that every day. And also my other staff at DDCR who work nights, holidays, weekends with outreach, with contract compliance, with making sure that your firm is certified. And so they, once again, they live, eat, sleep, and breathe minority business. So thank you. Thank you, Zaneta. Thank you, my whole entire staff. Naeem Den, where's Naeem at? Gwen Harrelson. And let me also thank the MWBE liaisons at each one of the agencies who make sure that you are being treated the right way and the fair way. So let me just start out by saying that we got past the naysayers, right? Right. So it's amazing how when I'm traveling across the country talking about these programs, I see some of those same naysayers, and they see me and they walk off because they couldn't see it, they couldn't visualize this program being successful here. And one thing that the mayor said the other night at his victory celebration, he said that you make your own reality. You make your own reality. When the naysayers tell you that it can't be done, you got to tell them that it's going to be done in your actions. And he also quoted a famous artist, a Picasso, who said that everything that you can imagine is real. Everything that you can imagine is real. And so let me just give you a short story of me, and I want to start out by saying is that who you see is not who I am. Who you see is not who I am. So many of you see me almost as a finished product, but you don't understand my journey and my story. Born in Harlem, parents separated, followed my father out to Chicago where he was from. He wasn't ready to raise a family. I lived in 4 different households by the time I was 10. Grandparents, great aunt and uncle. I had a great aunt who never had kids, who asked my grandmother if she can have me. So my grandmother felt sorry for her and gave her to me. She raised me to a point with my siblings, and then we were back at our grandparents' house, and then finally my father got his act together and we were with him. And so 4 different households by the time I was 10. Grew up in an area in Chicago with a zip code called 60637, which is one of the highest crime areas in the country. A year ago, I was in Chicago over a long weekend. There were 84 shootings and 19 murders in one weekend in Chicago. So 60637, the social scientists at the University of Chicago, which borders the neighborhood where I grew up at in Woodlawn, Hyde Park is the next neighborhood over. They said that the average black male, by the time they were 18, they would either be dead or in prison. Dead or in prison by the time we were 18. And it's amazing how some of those people at the university still call us today. They're tracking us. They want to see where we are in life. And so every time that I'm flying into Chicago, and I get there about 5 or 6 times a year, I still have family there and friends, and the theme song from Good Times is going around in my head. You know, temporary layoff, ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times, right? So it's amazing how, once again, how when naysayers tell you that you can't make it, that you got to push them to the side, and you got to keep marching, and you got to keep moving. In a conversation I had yesterday with Larry Sitbon, who is the owner of Sonota, he just finished a contract for us. It was 2 stations, Larry? 3 stations on the governor's aggressive time schedule. Larry told me, he said, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going to bid any more packages because this job almost killed me. I'm getting shots in my neck for pain. It was very aggressive, and I'm not sure if I'm going to bid any more of these packages. And I said, Larry, was it profitable? He says, yes. I said, well, you're not working for yourself. You're working for your grandkids and your great-grandkids. So by the time the good Lord calls you home and you make a transition from a physical one to a spiritual one, you have something to pass down. And so you're going to bid on these new packages, right? Right. Got it. So let me end by saying this. You know, there was a poll that was conducted of very successful people, and they polled them as to what were the attributes to your success. And the results came back. It wasn't wealth. It wasn't contacts. It wasn't networking. It was grit. Grit. G-R-I-T. What happens when your back is against a wall? You can't make payroll. When the tax man cometh. When your spouse is giving you a hard time because you're spending so much time in the office. Do you go hide and run into a shell, or do you come out swinging? It's grit that's going to get you past. That's going to get you through. It's your grit. And some of my staff, they heard this story before. When I was a poor college student and I was flying back and forth between SUNY Buffalo and Chicago, one year I went home for spring break, and I charged a real cost-effective plane ticket. And I got to the counter, and I gave the lady my ticket. She gave me a boarding pass, and I'm walking down this long aisle, and I get on the plane, and I look at my ticket, and it said seat 1A. I says, damn, seat 1A. So I sat down, and I broke out into a James Brown cold sweat. I said, you know what, let me go out here and make sure that these folks ain't charged my credit card for a first-class ticket. So I walked back out, and I said, miss, there must be some mistake. I'm a poor college student, and I'm sitting in first class. She said, son, relax. You were dressed so well, we automatically bump you up to first class because you bring value to our flight experience. And so I almost got emotional. I walked back down, and I said, damn, I'm a poor college student and grew up in poverty, and here I am in first class. So I sat down back in that large seat, and I said, excuse me, scotch on the rocks, please. Because I was going to enjoy that first class experience because I didn't know when I was going to be sitting in first class again. So the moral of that is that although I had a first class ticket, I had a second class mentality. Never ever let anybody put you in a second class mentality. You're always first class. And all of you sitting here this morning, you're going to make it. You're going to do great things. Apex is doing great things in the private sector. At some given point in time, I'm going to see many of you on the cover of Black Enterprise and other magazines because of your grit, because of your focus, because of opportunities like the MTA and Governor Cuomo has afforded you to grow and to develop your company. Because we always say that access to government contracts equals job creation in your community, home ownership, a path to better educational opportunities, and better health care options. Your grandkids should not be fighting the same battles that you're fighting. That's one of the frustrations now that Black Americans are going through right now with a insensitive person in the White House that's trying to take us back to where our grandparents and great-grandparents was with our struggle. And so in the words of Bob Marley, we got to fight for our rights. We got to organize, we got to focus, and we can never, ever let anybody take us back to where we was. I was sitting on a bus one day, And I said, I'm not going to sit on that back of that bus. And I sat in front. And an old lady got in, and she was wearing a cane, and she walked up to me and said, "Get out of my seat." I got up, and I went back to the back of the bus, you know. But, you know, that was just me being accommodated for a senior citizen. I mean, those seats in the front is for senior citizens, so that's fine. So that's it. So I hope that I've encouraged you, inspired you this morning to go out and change the world.